Good afternoon, and without wasting time, we want to take you live here in the capital, where Commissioner Lillian from the Kenya Revenue Authority is currently addressing the plight of traders who, of course, are picketing across the capital. Let's listen in to what the Commissioner is saying.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Well, that was a short briefing outside the Times Tower, where the Kenya Revenue Authority was addressing the plight of traders, given that today they have taken to the street, of course, complaining of taxes on goods. As and when we get a hold of our very own, that is Joseph Wahungu, was following on that particular story. We'll be briefing you on that as well. But also other stories making headlines at this hour is President William Ruto. Today, of course, officiated the 149th pass-out parade for the Police Basic Recruits Course 2025 at the Kenya National Police College in Kiganjo, Nyeri County. And this is what the head of state stated earlier on.
Security and freedom are neither competing aspirations nor are they at loggerheads. In a constitutional democracy, security must protect public order without diminishing individual liberty. The police must protect citizens from crime, violence, lawlessness, intimidation, and disorder. At the same time, the authority of the police must be exercised lawfully, professionally, and with respect to the life and dignity of every citizen. A secure country is one in which a mother can walk home without fear, a trader can conduct business without intimidation, a family can sleep without anxiety, and a citizen can express an opinion, attend a political meeting, and cast a vote without coercion. A police officer must therefore be physically prepared, professionally competent, technologically proficient, and psychologically resilient. Modern policing cannot be measured only by the number of suspects arrested. It must also be measured by the crimes prevented, the lives protected, the confidence created, and the safety citizens experience. So, wherever you are deployed, you must remain disciplined, impartial, incorruptible. Protect the vulnerable, treat every citizen with dignity, and reject every inducement to compromise your duty. Corruption, bribery, collusion with criminals, excessive force, and abuse of authority betray the Constitution, dishonor police uniform, and weaken the institution you have joined.
Your Excellency, when you came to office, you established a police modernization program that ensured that we have protection gear for our police officers. We bought modern vehicles that are anti-personnel carriers. We ensure that we have tactical equipment. You have air support system for our security officers. And we have crowd management equipment that will enable us to deal with protests, especially when they are infiltrated by goons and other criminal elements, and that now our police officers are better equipped to be able to combat challenges they face. Your Excellency, as a result of this modernization, we have been able to reduce acts of banditry, especially in the northern part of the country and Kerio Valley region, by almost 75 to 80%, Your Excellency. There is a remaining about 25% that we are dealing with, especially this corner of Isiolo, Samburu, and Marsabit corner, and Laikipia.
Huku gwaride likiwa linaongozwa
Now back to our top story this afternoon. I told you a little bit earlier, Rona, that a representative from the Kenya Revenue Authority, that a commissioner, that is Dr. Lillian, was addressing members of the Fourth Estate in regards to, of course, the protest by traders across the capital. Let's listen in to what Dr. Lillian had to say about it.
Arrived at based on analysis of similar items, imported by consolidators, and the values for which they have attracted over the last few years. So 3.2 is the minimum expected from a 40-foot container based on certain items. And it's important to note that it is the minimum. This could be even 20 million. But this is the minimum based on our analysis, saying based on these commonly imported items by consolidators, the minimum we expect, like the baseline, is the 3.2. It is not a new tax because taxes are set by legislators. KRA's role is to implement the law. However, we need to ensure that the right values are declared, the right items are declared, and the right taxes are paid. So the 3.2 is basically, as commonly known as benchmark. It's a facilitative, baseline for small-scale traders and consolidators. Thank you.
So for this amount, would you agree on it with the traders as well?
Yeah. Thank you. So to arrive at the 3.2, we did an analysis. We invited the traders, the consolidators. We have had several engagements and agreed on this amount. We even further went ahead and agreed on an implementation date. We gave them 30 days, a full month, to just align themselves and arrange themselves in terms of the cargo that was on the high seas coming, what they needed to clear, and agreed that 21st August was the implementation date of the 3.2. But it's important to just clarify again, 3.2 is not a fixed tax. Customs valuation is based on transaction value as per the World Trade Organization guidelines. Transaction value is the actual value of the goods imported, the actual tax. So the taxes is basically based on the actual items, actual classifications, actual value. So as I said before, for some cases, for some items, the taxes would even be lower. For some items, the taxes would be way higher.
Did you engage them to agree on that?
Yes.
And they agreed on it?
Yes. We even have minutes where we basically sat, agreed, and even agreed on a date.
The reason I'm asking is
Yes.
because they had complaints that they didn't get access to a certain meeting that you had, that you agreed on the order, and there was no meeting with them.
No, we've actually had several meetings, and the final meeting that agreed on this 3.2 was minuted. We had physical representations that cuts across different associations. Small-scale traders were represented. We had the Clearing Agents Association, Easily Business Community. We had a variety of representatives from the different stakeholders. So it was agreed on.
So one of the fears they have is that this situation might crash.
Well, if you're just joining us, that is Commissioner Dr. Lillian from the Kenya Revenue Authority addressing members of the Fourth Estate outside the Times Tower building, of course, in relation to what has been happening earlier this morning at the Central Business District, where the traders and business people within the Central Business District had vowed to go on a demonstration over taxation and changes to custom valuation. And Dr. Lillian has confirmed that they already had talks. We wait to see how that will pan out. And of course, Joseph Ohungu will be briefing us more in our subsequent bulletins. To Machakos County now, where Labour Cabinet Secretary Dr. Alfred Mutua has raised concerns over the alleged neglect of development projects initiated during his tenure as governor of Machakos County. Mutua singled out the Kitongi Community Borehole in Kagundo constituency, which he said has broken down and been abandoned, leaving thousands of residents, including school-going children, without reliable source of water. The Cabinet Secretary also raised concerns over the Kawedhei Market toilet, which was constructed during his administration but has remained closed under unclear circumstances, forcing traders, particularly women, to seek alternative sanitation facilities. Community members Catherine Soy and Abanes Macau decried what they described as poor service delivery, saying residents have been forced to fetch water from a nearby temporary reservoir.
Nimefika hapa nikashtuka kwa sababu mimi nikiwa governor nilichimba bore 645 kwa kaunti ya Machakos, na ndio watu wasilipe ile pesa. Tunaambiwa ulipe pesa, hakuna pesa ya kulipia stima, tukaweka zote solar panel. Maji, alafu maji ilikuwa ya bure bila malipo. Hakuna mtu alikuwa analipishwa maji because we said water is life. Water is life. Tukaweka mifereji, tukaweka kila mahali. Sasa nimeshtuka kuambiwa hizi bore hazifanyi kazi. The boreholes, we used government money. Tulitumia pesa ya serikali kuchimba boreholes. Sasa wananchi wanasema bore hazifanyi. Mwalimu hapa anatembea na mask kwa sababu hii vumbi iko hapa, watu wakicheza ni nyingi na ilikuwa nyasi. Umeona? Akina mama wananiambia wamerudi kwa mto. Mimi nikiwa governor niliwatoa mitungi kwa juu ya kichwa. Nikaeka chini.
Tunahangaika sana kuchota maji tukitumia mitungi. Baba zetu hata kuoga ni shida. Juu maji kitongi imekuwa, uongozi umekuwa mbaya, hatuna maji.
A section of human rights defenders is urging the government to set up efforts in sensitizing Kenyans on the importance of understanding their constitution. Speaking during a forum in Batini to discuss the constitutional rights and what communities can do to protect their space, the convener of the Coalition of Grassroots Human Rights Defenders, Rachel Mwikali, said there is a need for civic education to be rolled out across the country as the nation heads to the polls. She said an empowered community will help them understand the power they have to speak up and demand accountability from their leaders as well as defend their rights. During the fora, the locals were challenged to participate in the electoral process so as to ensure they elect development-oriented leaders.
The role that we need to play in protecting the civic space, as well as supporting community activists and social justice leaders, and also seeing practical ways on how we can improve our work as social movement in ensuring that also we're able to fight inequality and protecting the right of every citizen, as well as doing also education with our youth when it comes to intergenerational learning on our human rights and leaders who have fought for this country, and the role also we need to put into place and approaches and tools to ensure that we protect and safeguard our constitution.
We have given power to even recall those people who are not doing what we are expecting to be done. We have given power, we as citizens, also to impeach those people who are not working well.
Freedom of expression, hiyo na inafaa implementiwe juu ya nini? Watu bado wanatekwa nyara juu tu ya kujibonga.
Efforts to address challenges in accessing clean water in Nairobi's Kibera informal settlement have started bearing fruit, with residents lauding a non-governmental organization for bringing water closer to their homes and businesses.
For women and girls in Kibera, the ease in access of water goes far beyond turning on a tap. It means saving time, earning an income, as narrated by fish trader Rosemary Akinyi.
Tangu maji ya Sofco ikuje, tunakunywa direct. Hakuna kuchemusha maji, hakuna kutibu maji. Wakati tulikuwa tunakunywa ya tap, watu wa Sofco walikuwa wanatembea na madawa, wakitupea madawa. Lakini sisi wenyewe hatutaki kutumia hizo madawa kwa sababu tulijua utatumia hiyo dawa saa ngapi. Ilikuwa tukichota si tunakunywa, afadhali uhare mbele na umekunywa una saa ya kutibu maji.
Reflecting on this year's World Water Commemoration, she says the agony of walking 4 kilometers in search of water and spending 300 shillings for 200 liters is now a thing of the past, as she now pays just 30 shillings at a nearby Sofco kiosk.
Tena watoto wetu sasa wanachota maji mara moja kwa wiki. Sasa mtoto anaenda shule akikuwa msafi, Mimi niko na watoto wasichana na unajua tu hali ya watoto wa wasichana. Sasa hii mtoto anaamka saa 11 anaoga anaenda kwa shule safi.
So this is the water ATM system. So like it has these buttons here. So each button corresponds to a specific tap. So when a client came here, they choose a tap that they want to use to draw water from. They just press, then present their token here. Then the water comes out. Yeah, so like our water ATMs are always automated per 20-liter jerrycan, and each 20-liter jerrycan costs 3 shillings.
Maureen Elima also remembers walking for miles in search of the precious commodity, sometimes returning home without enough for her children.
Na sasa hivi vile maji ya shofko tumeletewa hapa, tunajisikia vizuri sana. Naweza oga hata mara 3 kwa siku. Hiyo maji imetusaidia sana. Tunachota tu saa yote yenye unataka bora uko na token.
Shofco founder and CEO Dr. Kennedy Odede says the organization has connected 45 schools in Kibera to water and built ablution blocks to improve sanitation and support girls' education.
And sanitation, we cannot forget how it's important to work with the government. Because honestly, the best solution is the government to take care of sanitation. They cannot, then how do we partner? But our partnership is along the way, the government should continue.
Facilities that are providing showers with clean and warm water so that they can be able to be comfortable during their menses and have private spaces whereby they can be able to take care of their needs during their menstrual periods. This is critical because it is not only about investing in infrastructure. It is about investing in infrastructure that is supportive of retention of these children in school.
54 digital kiosks serving about 60,000 people daily, Kibera's water story is becoming a story of opportunity where every litre saved can translate into income, education and dignity. Michael Mondiga for Lunchtime News.
And in other news, environmentalists in the country are pushing the government to move swiftly and seal loopholes that continue to allow illegal single-use plastics into the Kenyan market. The stakeholders are led by the Greenpeace Africa's plastic campaign lead, that is Helen Kahaso Dena, warn that close to 10 years since Kenya issued a ban on the single use of plastic carrier bags, porous borders, illegal imports and mushrooming of unregulated suppliers continue to expose the country to a growing plastic pollution crisis, which is gradually pushing lives and livelihoods and the environment to the brink. The activists have at the same time challenged manufacturers to take a greater responsibility for the full life cycle of their products, including investing in reuse and refill systems as part of efforts to curb the growing plastic pollution crisis. They spoke in Nairobi during the handing over of policy recommendations to key stakeholders in this sector.
Producers make it sound like, yeah, we can continue producing and then we will recycle. They want to pass on that responsibility to the consumer as opposed to them ensuring that they have what we call PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization, on the ground to be able to collect what they have used, because that is what essentially the EPR law says.
In some our neighboring countries, they still manufacture and use single-use plastics, and due to the porous borders, they still find themselves, or the single-use plastics find themselves here.
If the producer is penalized or is made to be ensure that he takes care of the waste, then that way the producer will think about a refill system, will think about a reuse system.
Residents of Mkuru kwa Ruben Getaway informal settlement are calling on the government to intervene amid plans to evict them to pave the way for the development of a gas. Speaking after holding demonstrations, the residents claimed a private developer is in the process of evicting them with the backing of security agencies. The over 5,000 informal settlement residents are expressing fear they risk being evicted from a place they have called home for over 25 years.
Tutetea court order hata moja ya kutuonyesha aje tunafaa kutoka hapa hadi hapa, na shaba yake amefence. Na tumeweza, mimi mwenyewe niliamua watu tuende kwa chief. Wakati tuende kwa chief alituambia ana kitu ya kusema. Tukatoka hapo tukaenda kwa DO. Kwenda pale kwa DO bado hakuongea.
Mr. President, tunakuomba kama sisi wakazi kwa Ruben, hebu tuangalie sana, tusihamishwe kutoka hapa, tujue mahali tutaenda, tujue mahali tutapeleka watoto.
Tunalia kama wana Ruben. Atuelewi tunabomolewa juu ya nini? Watoto wakapa wengi tumewapeleka shule. Na wanatupea 2,000 tuame. Tutaama wapi?
Tunakaa kwa Silamu, hatuna mahali pa kuenda. Mtoto hata ana chakula. Sasa anapewa 2,000. 2,000 ni nini?
To education matters now, the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Institute have been hailed for their roles in impacting industrial needs and global skills opportunities to its trainees. State Department for TVET Principal Secretary Dr. Esther Moria said the government has invested heavily in TVET as a pathway to job creation. The PS was accompanied by Kabete National Polytechnic Chief Principal Dr. Patrick Mushemi, TVET principals and teams from the Signet Institute of Australia to celebrate the successful conclusion of the Signet's first cohort final assessment for the Australia program at Kabete National Polytechnic. Dr. Esther Moria said the internationally moderated assessment provides an important benchmark for quality, relevance and global competitiveness while strengthening confidence in skills development through Kenya's TVET system.
I must say, we are not stopping. We are not stopping. Neither are we slowing down. We are going to keep moving and moving and moving until we are sure that TVET is working from industry, with industry, through industry, for industry.
So far, the trainings have covered close to around 40 weeks, and it is for this reason that Signet Institute Australia have found it necessary. They come physically, see the students, not now online, but physically.
We want to make sure before placements where students go into real world to experience how it like to work in the environment where people have disability and where they are going to support aged people. We want to make sure they are ready. So that's the whole concept of assessments.
Learning at the Joash Olum Primary School in Langata constituency, Nairobi County, has received a boost after the Malaysian Embassy donated bicycles, solar lamps and reusable pads to the school. Joash Olum Primary School head teacher, that is Eunice Onyango, and the school's board chair, Maurice Onyango Nyando, lauded the Malaysian Embassy led by the High Commissioner to Kenya, that is Razimi Mohammed, for the empowering vulnerable children through the donation. The learners said the gadgets will boost their morale after struggling for several years without essential learning materials and adequate lighting in classes.
We are very delighted and happy to receive them. And with them, with him and his guest, he brought to school for our children.
Tumeshukuru ambasada ya Malaysia kwa kutuletea msaada. Hizo baskeli ametusaidia nayo. Wale watoto wanatoka distance mbali 15 kilometers watakuwa wakitumia. Hizo mataya juu kwa shule hatuna stima.
Sometimes I used to be late because where I come from. Thank you, Ambassador, for this bike. For now, I can come earlier.
Well, that takes us to our first commercial break on KBC's Lunchtime News. Don't go too far. More news on the other side, including business and sports. So stay with us.
All right, listen up. Quality is on a mission.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth.
Colgate Charcoal Gentle Clean cleans and polishes teeth for a whiter smile and a naturally fresh and clean mouth. Choose natural. Choose Colgate Charcoal.
Kuanzia kitambo nilikuwa naongoja hii siku, lakini leo nimefika, nimejisikia vizuri sana.
You might think they are small kids, but some were born with the HIV, so you don't transfer HIV from one child to another.
Hii sio kusafisha, maana hata saini kiweko kwa maji haitafanya kazi. Unapasha kwa moto. So makaa inamaliza virus.
Sasa tulimuuliza mwenyewe, akasema anataka kutahiri.
Sasa unajua, kijana vile anaenda kutahiri, ndiye anakuwa sasa mwanaume.
Gaela Tikaya la patrona, Gilda Sambendengese.
For the men and women of substance, Mambo ni matatu. 1. KBC Channel 1. 2. Saturday. And 3. Rumba. Vile tu amesema rumba. Nimeingia ndani ya nyumba, ndani ya kipindi, nikupatie miziki ya rumba, miziki tamu sana. Every Saturday from 10 p.m. to midnight. Join me, Simeon Mfumu Kimbangu, the Rumba Supreme Leader, alongside DJ Mato Sibor mwenyewe. Rumba ya PDG ndani ya Bridge over Congo, KBC Channel 1. Toleka.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, an emotional send-off for a young secondary school teacher, that is Duncan Lemaramba, who was killed in a suspected retaliatory cattle rustling attack, was held at the Achas Post in Samburu County. Speakers at the funeral describe Lemaramba as a dedicated teacher whose life was cut short while serving his community. They called for an urgent cultural transformation, particularly among young people, to end practices associated with cattle rustling and other forms of violence that have continued to fuel conflict between neighboring communities.
There is no ticket. Kwa sababu mtu ndo anaenda kuwa huku au unakuja kuwa. Hiyo upuzi mpaka ishe. Hiyo ni ujinga. Both of these criminals lazima watafute. Na mimi nataka kuambia leo nimeongea na mkubwa wa SOG kwa Masengeli. Nimeongea na JSU. Tutatafuta njia ya kuweka JSU badala.
Ninaomba tu viongozi wale ambao wako hapa, wale ambao wako na utu kwa roho yao, wale ambao wamekuja hapa leo kwa Lemaramba kwa ushungu na sio kukuja kusheka. Hii maneno ambayo imefanyika, tutahakikisha kama jamii haitafanyika tena.
Now, the East African Community Partner States are renewing their commitment to transforming the region's education sector, with emphasis on increased funding, teacher capacity building, digital learning and competency-based education. The countries say they are now moving from commitments made at previous regional forums to actual implementation, with Kenya highlighting progress in rolling out education reforms and expanding digital learning in junior schools. The EAC Regional Education Conference has brought together education ministries, officials and development partners to assess progress and strengthen regional cooperation in education. Speaking in Nairobi, Principal Secretary in charge of basic education, John Ololtua, noted that the artificial intelligence is emerging as a key tool in reshaping learning and education management.
In the implementation of the competency
skills-based education in terms of transition to various classes as outlined in that particular structure, in terms of distribution of textbooks, teaching and learning materials for the learners, and also in terms of the selection of the pathways that has been very critical in ensuring that the learners are able to move on. The other very important component is the general education reforms in terms of laws that need to be reviewed, the legislations and the various components of legislation that need to be done as part and parcel of transforming the education sector.
The Kenya Union of Pre-Primary Education Teachers has petitioned the Controller of a Budget to disregard budgets of counties that have refused to honour salary increment promises of ECDE teachers. Over 800 ECDE teachers have downed their tools over salary increment demands. Addressing union members at the Labour office in Kisii County, the officials, led by National Secretary Samuel Opio, accused counties of failing to factor in the implementation of salary increments for ECD teachers as advised by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission (SRC). Opio said the employer has failed to implement the SRC advisory and the union's demands to the letter. He further claimed the counties have ignored deductions and remittances of union dues for employees who have joined the union.
In Nyamira County, despite the fact that they are graduate ECD teachers, the salaries that are paid here are flat rate and does not consider the graduate ECD teachers. And that is something that we want to call upon.
I've downed our tools and asking for the government of Nyamira to give directions on this. According to the advisory, the diploma ECD teacher holder is supposed to get, the starting point is about around 34,000 and something. With the allowances, by this time it should be around 40 something. And the certificate holder starts at 24, plus the allowances, it is supposed to be around 29, 30.
President William Ruto has been commended for upholding the Constitution and advancing equity in the distribution of government services and development projects across the country. While a Member of Parliament and UDA National Organizing Secretary, that is Vincent Musyoka Kawaya, says the Ruto administration has made notable gains in addressing historical marginalization, particularly in service delivery and infrastructure development in the Ukambani region.
Speaking during an economic empowerment program and public engagement at Kithioko in Kiva Ward Masinga constituency, Kawaya said the region had for years suffered what he described as neglect and discrimination in the allocation of development resources.
And I want to appreciate and congratulate the President William Samoei Ruto for upholding and also protecting the constitution. Kwa sababu kama kiongozi lazima achunge ile katiba. There are gains about this constitution in the governance of one President William Ruto that we cannot let go. Kwamba ameleta usawa. Our constitution demands of the leadership, those in leadership, kwamba lazima kuwa usawa.
The legislator cited construction and improvement of roads and other government projects as evidence of what he termed as a changing approach to development under the Kenya Kwanza administration.
We must demand development and we must reject leaders ambao wameonyesha kwamba hawawezi fanya kazi. Wewe usipewe kazi unakuja kusema unajua mimi nilikuwa national leader ndio sababu sikuleta development hapa Ukambani. Kama ulikuwa national, kwani Ukambani haiko national?
Elsewhere, a section of Orange Democratic Movement delegates drawn from Lang'ata and Kibra constituencies in Nairobi County have formally petitioned the party leadership to provide clarity regarding allegations that certain individuals within the party are working to lock them out of contesting elective positions in the 2027 general election.
Talking to a few leaders in the party that we are going to summon the 4 MCAs because the party has not given any direction to give anybody direct tickets.
The delegates alleged that certain individuals within the party have unilaterally endorsed preferred candidates for various positions within ODM, sidelining loyal party members and delegates despite their long-standing commitment to the party.
Na hii party si individual mmoja peke yake, hii party si familia moja peke yake. When will we leave kama vijana wadogo? Hii demokrasia yenye iko kwa ODM, is it an irony ama ni sincere democracy?
Finally, a section of youths from the Tigania community in Isiolo County have condemned individuals who are driving a narrative that the president is not welcomed in the region. The youth now want President William Ruto to visit the county, commission and operationalize the now complete Isiolo Export Abattoir to provide employment opportunities for local youths.
Kuna hii abattoir imefunguliwa na inafaa kufunguliwa officially na rais, na kuna vijana mahali wamesema rais asijaribu kukanyanga hapa. Nauliza jamani, rais asipokuja kufungua abattoir ambayo ina create job opportunity for our fellow youth, atakuwa amesaidia kweli wenye wanasema sikanyange hapa? So tuna-invite rais akuja afungue abattoir ndio hao vijana kama wenye wanalia hawana kazi wapate kusaidika na wapate kazi pale.
Wala walienda huko kwa Munyoro, walienda kukula vitu zao huko. Sisi hatuwatambui, walienda kutumia jina ya jamii vibaya kuliko useme ni tumbo yako umepeleka, unaenda kusema ni Meru imekutuma. Shame on you people.
An acute water shortage has hit Bomet town and its environs, forcing businessmen and university students to fetch unsafe water from the Chepkulo River. According to local Chamber of Commerce chairman, that is Leonard Langat, the water shortage has negatively affected businesses in the town. He urged the water department and Bomasco to quickly address the shortage.
We had new students for the Bomet University coming the other day. They are lacking water almost everywhere. The water which is available is raw, and this water is also a risk. People of Bomet can get cholera, and even the students who have just joined us here to improve the business in Bomet are also suffering.
Maji hakuna hapa Bomet. Tuko na tapu ya Bomet hapa hatuna maji. Kwanza watoto wa university hapa hapati maji hapa university.
The county government must pull up their socks and ensure that the department concerned has addressed that issue of shortage of water.
The Kenya International Taekwondo Federation is mourning the death of its Secretary General Timothy Mburu following a tragic road accident along the Mai Mahiu Naivasha Road on a Thursday night. His death has left the Kenya International Taekwondo Federation and the wider martial arts community mourning the loss of a dedicated sports administrator and leader. Mburu was reportedly riding his sports motorbike on his way to his home in Mai Mahiu when he was involved in an accident in Longonot area. He was initially taken to a health facility in Longonot Township before being transferred to the Naivasha Referral Hospital for specialized treatment, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The institution has since sent its condolences to Mburu's family and the entire Taekwondo fraternity following his death.
Na leo tumehuzunika sana kwa kifo cha Busabum Timothy, our Secretary General, na ile kitu tu ningeomba tujitie moyo wachezaji wa KITF Taekwondo, tujipe moyo.
Na mimi ndio baba ya Timothy Mburu Holo. Ametuasha kwa huzuni kwa maana hatujui kitu gani kimefanyika, na tunaomba Mungu amweke pale pema peponi.
Mwenye ameaga ni bwanangu, alipata ajali jana na akaaga leo. Kitu nitasema Mungu amweke mahali pema.
Small-scale business owners in a Great Wall Estate at the river have hailed the eviction of hawkers and makeshift stalls near the premises by Machakos County government. The residents say the increase in structures and open-air traders has held to congestion, compromising their security. For many shop owners, the removal of the hawkers has resulted in a noticeable improvement in the day-to-day business environment.
Ever since they were removed, I think business have been a little bit booming for us who own shops inside here. And the reason we took shops inside here is because we wanted, accountability and security. And I think if you own a shop, if you go and buy something outside the gate, and then the next day you can't see the person who you bought that thing from, it raises a certain red flag. Even if you have some stomach issues later on, you want to know who to hold accountable for that. But if you own a shop inside here, a customer can come, buy anything, and then later on, if there's any problem, they can come and complain, or they can complain to the head office.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission (NCIC) has called for tighter regulation of the boda sector, warning that motorcycle operators are increasingly being implicated in violence, insecurity and other criminal activities. NCIC Coast Regional Coordinator Mohammed Khamis said the sector requires a stronger oversight to prevent its abuse by individuals involved in violence and other unlawful activities. Speaking during a peace and cohesion meeting with residents of the Kanzani Ward, Nyali Sub-County, Mombasa County, Khamis stated that investigations conducted into the June attack on Jehovah's Witness Church in the area established that boda operators were among those who stormed the church. During the melee, property was destroyed and items were allegedly looted. The attack in the church followed claims by two men that their private parts had mysteriously shrunk or disappeared after they shook hands and touched by preachers from the church who were conducting door-to-door evangelism mission.
Inabidi bodaboda ziwe regulated sahihi, na si kwa sababu tuwaziregulate kwamba mwazifanya hivi, mumezi abuse. Na waliovamia kanisa hususan zaidi ni vijana ambao kwamba ni wa bodaboda kutoka eneo hili. Itabidi tutengeze vitu tunaita zonal na kuwe na chairperson wao. Tuwe na utaratibu ili hali tujue kwamba hii matatu ama hii bodaboda inapofikia mahali fulani, hii ni ya Kazanani na hii ni hata ikaonekana mtu hapa yajulikana hii bike ni ya wapi, ya mahali fulani. Hilo ni jambo ambalo kwamba itabidi tuliweke utaratibu kwa sababu
A campaign to involve men in reproductive health initiatives is being rolled out across Kwale County as a strategy to reduce maternal and child deaths during childbirth. The campaign, led by the Fanikisha Foundation, included a meeting with Mwamambi residents aimed at encouraging men to accompany their expectant partners to parental clinic visits. They were also sensitized on family planning methods.
Mama wengi wanakuja hospitali lakini hawaambatani na waume zao. So tukaonelea tukikuja labda tukiwaona wanaume huku mashinani wakipata mafunzo wanaweza ambatana na wake zao kuja hospitali.
Encourage wazee wengine, just accompany your wife. Ndio kama kuna shida, tuseme kuna shida mtoto, daktari akielezea hapo, at least hata yeye anaelewa na anasikia.
Tusichukulie swala la upangaji uzazi kuwa ni swala zito, ni swala lenye linaleta wepesi katika jamii, kwa sababu kwa mwanaume yeye kuruhusu mke wake kupanga uzazi inamsaidia yeye kimapato pale nyumbani. Ile mahitaji inaenda kuungana na mpangilio, kwa sababu sasa hivi uchumi umekuwa mgumu.
Health experts have raised concerns over the increasing cases of resistance to antibiotic treatment, calling for an integrated approach to counter the threat. The scientists are also worried about rising incidences of transmission of disease between animals and humans as a result of antimicrobial resistance. This came up in the presentations from health researchers from across Africa during the launch of the International Center for Antimicrobial Resistance Solutions Regional Office in Nairobi. Speaking during the launch of the International Center for Antimicrobial Resistance Solutions Regional Office in Nairobi, AMREF Africa Kenya County Director Dr. Meshak Ndirangu said that protecting the veterinary sector is critical in reversing antimicrobial resistance since it revolves around people and animals. Additionally, Dr. Ndirangu called for the establishment of a national policy on antimicrobial use in the Ministries of Health, Agriculture and Livestock Development in coordinating treatment.
ICAS, the International Center for Antimicrobial Resistance Solutions, is working with others to confront antimicrobial resistance across Africa. And as you can imagine, we know it, this is a big problem, a global health security problem for all of us. It cuts across the antibiotics we use against bacteria, like those causing TB and pneumonia, the antiparasites we use against problems like malaria and the worms that we struggle, and the antivirals we use. Ministries of Health and Agriculture and Livestock Development.
The Turkana pastoralist community in Laikipia County is raising concerns over what they describe as a discrimination in employment opportunities and government appointments. Led by former Laikipia Ward Representative Loshemiti Asakon, the residents claim the community continues to be overlooked despite its marginalized status. They are calling on the national government to recognize their plight and ensure they are fairly represented in employment and leadership positions. The residents are now warning that failure to address their concerns could influence their political stance ahead of the 2027 general election. Beyond matters of representation, the community is also calling for the construction of dams to address persistent water shortages and support their livelihoods.
Kuna mambo ambayo sisi kama viongozi hatujafurahishwa kwa sababu serikali kuu ambayo ni national government hawatambui viongozi ya county kwa sababu kuna nafasi za kazi ambayo wanaangalia tu eneo la Turkana County, lakini sisi kama diaspora folks hawaangalii sisi.
Na siku ya leo jamii yetu ya Waturkana tumeamua kwamba sisi ni lazima tutambulike katika national government na county government.
Tumeteseka kwa muda mingi sana. Hata wale watoto wetu wameandikwa kwa county bado wanafungiwa mapingo nyuma, hawataongea, hawatafanya chochote.
Ni kuwa government inafaa kuangalia Waturkana wanaoishi katika mtaa wa diaspora.
Residents of Malindi town and its surrounding areas are set to benefit from enhanced medical diagnostics following the unveiling of a modern CT scan and an artificial intelligence X-ray machine at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital. The significant upgrade marks a new era in healthcare provision for the region, promising faster and more accurate diagnosis. According to the Governor Gideon Mungaro, the digital X-ray machine is the first one to be installed in the country. Governor Gideon Mungaro further challenged doctors to inform patients about the operations of the machines to avoid myths and misinformation.
Tutakuwa tukifanya kati ya CT scan 20 na 30 kila siku. Hii itapunguza idadi ya wagonjwa wanaopelekwa hospitali ya rufaa ya kaunti ya Kilifi na hospitali zingine. Mpya ya kidijitali, nilisema tumezindua mashine mpya ya digitali ya X-ray. Kwa muda wa takriban wiki 3, huduma za X-ray zilikuwa zimeathirika.
Hii ukishapigwa picha pale inaenda straight kwa daktari kwa mtandao na anaona na kueleza mambo ya ugonjwa wako. Sasa si lazima tena tubebane na zile filamu ambazo tulikuwa tumezoeana nazo. So wakati ukija hapo usipopewa hiyo filamu usiseme kwamba mimi hata sikupigwa picha.
Now let's get down to business. The government plans to spend 3 billion shillings to tarmac various roads around a Moya irrigation scheme in a bid to improve rice farming in the region. For years, rice farmers around the Moya irrigation scheme have struggled with poor road infrastructure affecting production due to impassable roads. Farmers in Moya irrigation scheme have welcomed the move to tarmac roads traversing the rice belt, saying it will ease transportation of their produce to the markets and homes. The farmers said for decades they have been forced to use animal carts to transport their produce due to the deplorable state of roads. One of the roads under construction is the Kutus-Kimimbimbi Road. They are calling on the all contractors awarded various road projects to speed up to open Moya.
Nilikuwa na baiskeli lakini ungeenda asubuhi maybe wakati ya kujanyesha, lakini jioni ukirudi labda ubebe baiskeli yako kwa bega kwa sababu kurudi nayo itakuwa shida.
Ukienda kwa shamba unatoa mizigo yako na ngari ya ng'ombe na unatafuta watu wakuja wasukume ndio ikuja karibu na wewe, ikuja kwa barabara tena ifike Musakudhe. Ukifika Musakudhe ile kitu nauza kuko Kutus inakuwa shida tupu kwa sababu pesa yote imekuwa expensive kwa barabara.
Hapo kitambo kupeleka mzigo kwa soko ilikuwa ni ngumu sana juu ilikuwa mashimo tupu. Ungepeleka mzigo kama ukianzia asubuhi utafika kule kama saa 6.
Now, Kenya is eyeing a slice of the fashion tourism market as the country seeks to diversify its revenue from tourism. The country will host Africa's Next Supermodel 2026, which will bring thousands of models to Nairobi. Tourism Principal Secretary Julius Bitok stated that the scouting campaign for Africa's Supermodel 2026 will run through the end of September with casting sessions set to take place across Kenya. The initiative aims to uncover talent beyond major urban centers while drawing aspiring models from over dozens of African nations, including Angola, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Ethiopia.
We are announcing Africa's Next Supermodel, which will take place on November 21st, 2026 here in Nairobi. And I'm proud to announce that the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife is proudly endorsing Africa's Next Supermodel. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome all the girls to compete in this year's Africa Next Supermodel.
Now, mutual recognition of standards will help African traders avoid multiple inspections and certification requirements. Head of Public Service Felix Koskei is urging African countries to harmonize product standards to make it easier and cheaper for businesses to trade across borders under the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Africa's market of more than 1.4 billion people presents a major opportunity for increased intra-African trade, but differences in product standards and repeated inspections continue to raise the cost of doing business across borders.
Every certificate we align, every technical regulation we harmonize, and every barrier to intra-Africa trade we dismantle is a tangible step towards what the African Agenda 2063 envisions: self-reliance, industrialized, and trading confidently with self.
Head of Public Service Felix Koskei says harmonized and mutually recognized standards will allow a product certified in one African country to access other markets more easily, supporting farmers and manufacturers seeking to expand across the continent.
Fellow governments across the continent treat harmonized standards not as ASO's mandate alone, but as a shared instrument of national competitiveness to be championed from the highest levels of public administration.
Speaking during the Africa Organization for Standardization 32nd General Assembly, Koskei has said Kenya is working with the African Union to address persistent barriers that are hindering trade.
As countries are sitting, as AU are sitting and cracking their heads on how to connect these countries either by road or by air to their cities, we need to be ahead and come up with a practical solution on how we can seamlessly trade.
During the meeting, Koskei was appointed Goodwill Ambassador of the African Organization for Standardization.
As I take up this role, I commit to two things in particular, which I'll pursue with the same discipline I bring to coordinating government business.
The General Assembly is being held under the theme Standards Enabling Intra-Africa Trade under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, One Certificate, Working for You. Ndutamo Kami for Lunchtime News.
A group of 100 firms, including Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, and OpenAI, have signed an open letter calling on countries and organizations around the world to beef up their cyber defenses before AI grows powerful enough to override them. The letter warns the cyber attacks which use AI will become both more widespread and more sophisticated in a matter of months as the technology rapidly improves. Details of this and other stories in today's International Business Wrap.
Other firms to have signed the letter include banks such as Capital One, payment processors MasterCard and Visa, and other major tech firms including Adobe, Oracle, and IBM. They call on governments to provide capable defensive AI and testing to hospitals and water utilities, and on technology companies to aid such efforts. Collectively, tech and government should bring the full weight of their technology, resources, and expertise to this effort, according to the letter. The letter comes after a string of significant hacking and cybersecurity breaches have been made public. And the Japanese government is looking between stimulating economic growth, expanding fiscal spending, and containing debt risks. Japan's real gross domestic product GDP grew 0.3% quarter-on-quarter in the second quarter of 2026, the Cabinet Office said in a preliminary report on August 17th. Meanwhile, yields on Japanese long-term government bonds have continued to climb. The rise in long-term interest rates signals further increases in the government's future interest payments. Japan's Ministry of Finance has already raised the assumed interest rates for the fiscal 2027 budget to 3.8%, up from the previous 3%. Finally, prolonged heat and low rainfall have caused water levels on the Danube River in Bulgaria to drop sharply since the early summer, leaving most sections unnavigable by late August and forcing many farmers to struggle to get their grain to market. Grain exports are an important part of Bulgaria's foreign trade. The country's wheat, corn, and sunflower seeds are sold in large quantities to Greece, Germany, and Nordic countries. In the year 2025, Bulgaria's agricultural exports exceeded 7 billion euros, about $8.2 billion. Most of Bulgaria's grain-producing areas are in the north and west, while its main export ports are on the Black Sea coast in the south. In previous years, most grain from production areas to ports was transported via the Danube, but this year the vital artery has been blocked by drought.
And now finally, let's play. Kenya's top practical shooting marksmen have arrived in Harare for the prestigious Zimbabwe Open 2026, a level international practical shooting confederation of IPAC handgun championship kicking off tomorrow at the Cleveland Pistol Club. Running from August 29th to 30th, the two-day regional showdown brings together approximately 150 elite competitors from across Africa, including powerhouse contingents from South Africa, Egypt, Namibia, and the host nation Zimbabwe. Kenya is being represented by a highly competitive 6-member delegation spanning 3 major IPSC divisions. Leading the charge in the open division is Nauman Mughal, while Pravir Voha, Peter Njoroge and Hakim Daud Abdul will contest the fiercely competitive standard division. Rounding out the national team in the production division are Ibrahim Ndugu and Suhaib Timimi. Elsewhere, the national women volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, have boosted their chances of retaining their title of the 2026 CAVB Women's African National Volleyball Championship in Nairobi after completing the group stage with a perfect record. The defending champions secured 6 points from 2 matches, sweeping both Zambia and Mali 3-0 at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. The results send the host through the round of 16 with maximum points. Malkia Strikers will now turn their attention to the knockout stage as they target another deep run in the competition. The championship carries added significance, with the winners securing qualification for the 2028 Olympic Games, while the top 3 teams will earn places at the 2027 FIVB Women's World Championship. And quickly, here are some of your teams that will be playing in the English Premier League. And of course, Manchester City will be opening up today's fixture against Crystal Palace. Liverpool will take on Nottingham tomorrow. Bournemouth versus Everton, Coventry versus Hull, Spurs versus Newcastle on Sunday. It will be Chelsea versus Brighton, Leeds versus Brentford, Sunderland versus Fulham, and let's see if United will pick up from where they lost at Hull. And of course, they will be welcoming Ipswich at the Old Trafford Stadium. And the champions, Arsenal, will be taking on Villa at the Villa Park to continue with their title defence. That concludes our bulletin this afternoon. My name is Abdiaziz Hahsim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Anne Wangeshi. Good afternoon for now.
Kwa nini unapatilisha namba alafu unachitumia pesa unajiita Ondieki? Kwa nini?
Lakini si wadi ulifanya hiyo kazi.
Si lakini kieleza hii mahakama, nyinyi kama askari mlitaifati hiyo pesa ikakucha kwangu ndio mniwekelee niwache kazi. Nitakuwa naeleza mahakama ulangu.
Sasa sisi akifa
chunga hii maneno itakufunga hata wewe.
Sisi mbona sisi afanyie wewe namna hiyo? Mimi amejua wewe hiyo siku.
No, you can sabotage me. You can sabotage me.
Sabotage you? Kwani mimi alikuwa anajua wewe hapo mbeleni?
This is warning to others. How comes you are sending money for another number which is not yours?
Hiyo kisungu hata unaongea even you do not understand.
No, don't talk about my English. My English is very pure.
Sikia, kama ni mtu mwingine alichukua hiyo ID kuregister laini, haingetokea na picha yako. Na tena wewe ndio ulipatikana mpaka na simu ambayo ulikuwa na receive pesa.
That phone, is it yours? Is it yours?
Ilikuwa yako.
That vehicle, is it mine or yours?
It is mine.
Thank you. Who has the authority to get inside your car?
To get?
Oh, inside your car.
If it's a public car, whom do you expect to be inside?
Mheshimiwa, acha kumtetea
sasa. Na wewe unauliza swali.
Wewe hata usiniletee hata wewe sasa. Acha mimi nimuongelee.
Uliza swali ambayo itakusaidia.
My name is Crystal Dilworth. I'm a neuroscientist with a PhD from Caltech in Pasadena, California. Medical breakthroughs can often seem like a common occurrence, but true innovation does not come daily. Today, we go inside a laboratory making the impossible possible. It's a world where genes can be re-engineered and lives can be saved.
This is the beginning of an era of medicine development that the medicine is a living cell, sometimes from your own body and sometimes not.
Next, we'll meet the children benefiting from these discoveries, defying odds and genetics one day at a time. Inside the Cure Factory.
Powering the future. Confronting the world's challenges with cutting-edge solutions, medical breakthroughs, and high-tech discoveries. These are the stories of our planet. This is VOA Tech.
There are moments in time that are noteworthy, not because they're extraordinary, but because they are simply a part of everyday life. A father and son play on the street in front of their home. A moment in time captured in a flash of sun, a smile, and a look of sheer wonder. For Nate Nielsen and his son Gavin, there's both nothing and everything special about this time together.
Gavin's 3.5. He loves monster trucks. He loves playing outside, loves playing on his water table. He loves water. Very independent, very, very much wanting to do things on his own. Very brave, strong. Yeah, I love him a lot. So.
Welcome to